Greetings, greetings. Hello, hello, beautiful butterflies. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Welcome to the channel. You're with Tanisha Ali of Butterfly Transformations, helping you to get out of your cocoon and into your wings. Join the evolution, guys. Everything is spiritual and spirituality is everything. I am here with you today to help you up-level your mindset, clear and heal your vibration, your frequency, and up-level your mindset so that you can manifest the glory of God that is within you. If you have not purchased my book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, make sure you get your hard copy. It is a wonderful addendum to your healing library and your healing journey to finding your purpose, being in your purpose, and living your best life. It is called Manifesting Your Masterpiece. So today, we're getting ready to talk about, I think I have, 18 signs that you are toxic. Now, you guys know I tend to be a little bit long-winded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it into two different videos. I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2. That way I can kind of go in a little bit more to some of the things that I jotted down on my little list so that I don't lose track. So if this looks like something that you want to hear about, if you want to look at yourself and find out if you're toxic, if you want to identify someone in your life and find out if they are toxic, if you just simply want to know if you have toxic behaviors, then stick around for this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Okay, let's get on to the topic. Number 1. Now, first, let me say this. I'm going to give you some not so typical, some of the list is going to be things you're going to be familiar with, but the other things you may have to have a second thought about. You might be like, really? Where did she get that from? So I want you to just marinate, let that incubate, ponder, reflect, contemplate on what it is I am saying to you, and then put it to rest and see if you can't have some sort of delayed insight regarding what I'm talking about. I do want to differentiate between being a toxic person and having toxic behaviors. We all have some toxic behaviors. There should be something on this list that you can identify with. If you cannot, you are definitely toxic. If you cannot identify with anything on this list, you are definitely toxic. And you guys will find a lot of people who really can't identify with what's on this list. They can't see themselves in any of these things that I'm getting ready to delineate. And sometimes they're so narcissistic or just otherwise out of it, and so far disconnected and so far in their darkness and their shadow aspect that they can't even connect with anything that I'm saying. If there's someone in your life who cannot tell you 3 things that they need to work on besides what kind of foods they eat, their diet, and going to the gym, or working on something that you ask them to do, then that person has a problem. So just differentiate between, within yourself, toxic behaviors that you may be carrying and being a toxic person. I'm going to say if you have more than 3 of these items that are on this list, you are toxic. Okay, the first thing, you eat toxic food. Now that may sound very superficial to you, but if you understand the chemical releases and the thought patterns and the behavior patterns that arise out of the low vibrational foods that we eat, you would understand that in terms of raising your vibration and doing your karmic work, and I'll do many more videos on that in the future, there's a direct link between the quality of the food you eat and the quality of your thoughts, and the way in which you heighten the odds that you can come out of negative behavior patterns. Because if you know, when I speak, I talk about the whole individual. Everything is related. God is one, whether you consider it God in the traditional sense or not. I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about the oneness of creation and the way everything is interlinked. We're not just dealing with energy here when we have to change our thought patterns. We're dealing with chemical reactions. We're not just dealing with chemical reactions here. We're dealing with feelings. We're dealing with a spiritual state of mind. We're talking about how that takes a toll on our body. We're talking about our interneural connectors within our brain that controls the vibrational frequencies of our amino acids and the vibrational frequencies of the chemical releases that we may be addicted to, related to the behavior patterns and the trauma bonds and everything else that we're dealing with. So food is very much connected. If you are still eating fried chicken and haven't gotten the memo, and you're eating pizza and you're eating out every night of the week and you're eating fast food and you're eating a lot of meat and you haven't cleaned your diet up, not only is your food toxic, but you are toxic as well. And some people are not going to want to hear that, but it is the truth. Number 2, you can't name more than 1 or 2 things that are dysfunctional about the way you operate that have negatively impacted the relationships that you've had with people in the past. Period. That explains itself. I talked about that a little bit in the beginning before we even started. Number 3, you have failed to change your vibrational set point, or your default vibration, I call that sometimes. All right. Your vibrational quotient is very low. You failed to change that in any sustainable way. And so for most of your interactions and during most of your life or most of your daytime interpersonal reactions or relationships with people, you operate out of your shadow. Okay, there are a lot of people who are walking around out here in society, guys, who think they're doing the work and they're not doing the work. They are operating most of the time out of their shadow, and they don't really want to deal with those lower vibrational aspects that are on autopilot in their life, that are actually sabotaging everything that they really say they want, whether it's a healthy relationship or better health or attracting more financial opportunities in their life. When we operate out of our shadow aspect, the ultimate result is that we sabotage and we undermine the very things that we say we want to bring into our life. When we're operating out of our shadow aspect, we're in a fearful place, we're insecure, we're projecting, we're failing to mirror the things in our lives within ourselves that we want to see from other people. We're in a state, a very low vibrational state that is very unhealthy, and we operate out of a place of projecting everything that's going on negatively within us into our outer world, which means we're constantly finding fault with other people, which means that truly within ourselves we are empty. So raising your vibration in a sustainable way requires that you have to do the purging. Either you start with the purging and it results in the higher vibrational work, or you start doing the other things that contribute to a higher vibrational environment, and it contributes to, or the byproduct or the unintended consequence is the purging of those things that even you don't even have to dig into. They become healed spontaneously. Okay, so that's very serious. It's not something that we're doing on a moment-to-moment basis. We feel good when we exercise. I'm talking about your vibrational set point needs to be at a healthy level in its ground state without you having done anything at all most of the time. If you're not in that place, you have some toxicity that you need to get to the bottom of. Number 4, you're always looking for someone to fill the spaces or the voids in your life. You have trouble just being with yourself. You cannot just be, and you cannot just be with yourself. You're constantly looking for distractions. If you're not watching TV, you're on your phone. If you're not on your phone, you're on the internet. If you're not on the internet, when I say you're on your phone, I'm talking about social media. You're actually talking to someone. You're watching the idiot box. You're binge watching videos, or you're eating. You have to constantly be in a state of self-soothing. Otherwise, you go mad. In other words, you can't just sit still. You can't take a silent day. The idea of a picnic or sitting under a tree for a few hours and not doing anything and not having your phone, or just being by yourself, not out there trying to fish for people, whatever it is that they call it. If you can't just be still and sit still and you have to always be doing something, you're toxic. You're very toxic. And that is one of the, what I would give more weighty signs of being toxic, because that will drive you into all of the other toxic things that create the framework of a very low vibrational life. If you can't be with yourself, you're going to soothe yourself with unhealthy foods. If you can't be by yourself, you're going to be in a codependent relationship, or in a codependent relationship with several people, or maybe you will always need an energy supply if you're a narcissist. If you can't just be by yourself, it means you're constantly having to externalize your power. External things are what make you feel good. Without external things, you feel a lack of peace, you feel disrest, you feel dis-ease, and you constantly have to reach outside of yourself to pull someone into your reality in order to find a state of stillness, okay? Number 5, you're constantly talking and trying to convince or impress others. Yes, that is a sign of being toxic, because it means that you have to, your power comes from external sources. It means that you often have to try to convince people to feel the same way that you feel about things, which means you're judgmental, which means you're a control fanatic, which means that you can't accept people the way they are, which means that you can't surrender, and a whole host of other things. If you're constantly talking, now, I talk a lot because I do a lot of videos, my work, when I'm doing readings, when I'm doing healing sessions, when I'm doing mentoring, I'm constantly having to talk. But outside of this for my profession, I don't like to talk very much. I really don't like to talk very much. I prefer to be, I'm more introverted. I prefer to be within myself, and I don't like to really to be around people who talk too much, or people who are abrasive in the way that they talk, or they're very heavy-handed in their speech, or they're very abrasive in terms of the language that they use, the way they express themselves, the tenor and the tension that may be in their voice. I prefer to be in a space with a modicum of solitude. I'm comfortable with my quiet space. Why? Because I have to talk so much for work. And because of that, when I'm not talking for work, I prefer not to have to talk as much. That doesn't mean if people don't ask me questions, I won't respond. If somebody doesn't call, I won't talk. I'm working on those exit strategies. But fundamentally, I need a healthy amount of peace and non-distraction in my life, okay? But for people who are needing to constantly convince, and they're triggered when you don't feel like they feel, when they're needing to constantly talk, those people have a tendency to be very draining, and what they are really doing is taking your energy from you. And you'll notice that in your interaction with these people, you become fatigued. You tire very easily because you can't simply just be yourself. They can't simply just kiss and keep it simple, stupid. Everything is complicated, okay? Number 6, you're constantly operating out of your ego, all right? Which means you need to always be right. You are always manipulating other people to get what you want. You're always in your shadow energy, which means you're projecting a lot of what's happening internally onto people outside. So if you have trust issues, you're accusing other people of being distrustful. If you are a distrustful person because you are, let's say, have an issue with fidelity, then you are accusing other people all the time of that. You're constantly projecting your reality onto your outer externality, or the external things in your life. You're seeking your validation primarily through others. Your ego is on overdrive, which means that your image, I think I wrote this down. Did I write this down? I didn't write it down in this particular area, but your image of yourself is controlled by how other people feel about you. So whether it's praise or criticism, they both trigger you. You need praise. If you don't get praise, you feel a certain way. When you get praise, it allows you to feel complete. You need that validation. When you are criticized, either you dwell in the negativity of it and you allow it to fuel more negativity, or when criticism comes in, it's a trigger to you and it can send you down like this. So you respond to praise and criticism in an unhealthy way, which means that you are a slave to both. 7. You have a temper. You frequently will throw tantrums. Tantrums can be, a subtle tantrum may be the silent treatment. That's your way of punishing someone or controlling the emotional outcome of a situation, or trying to subtly manipulate an outcome in your interaction with someone else. A tantrum doesn't have to be slamming a door, going from 0 to 100. It can be an undercurrent of simmering that causes you to act in an unhealthy way, rather than try to diffuse the situation from within and take a higher perspective. Number 8, okay? You don't meditate. You don't take silent days. You don't spend time outside. You don't have a healthy diet. You don't read for enrichment. And last but not least, you don't have spiritual growth as your goal. You have to be someone that is a lifelong learner and be willing to read. You have to be willing to get your nourishment from being outdoors. If you're coming into the space of someone who doesn't open up their windows, who doesn't let the light in, who doesn't have plants in their house, who never goes out, that person is very toxic, and they're going to pull you into a very dark world. If you come into contact with someone who can't tell you the last 4 or 5 books that they've read, they tell you they don't have time for it, you're talking about someone who has some toxic behavior. They're not interested in growing. They're not interested in evolving. If you come into contact with someone and their idea of spirituality is religion, you're coming in contact with someone with outdated belief systems who's not interested in spiritual growth and sees spirituality and religion as the same thing, and they are not. You're going to be dealing with someone who can't see the forest for the trees, someone who is very closed-minded, and someone who's decided to separate themselves from higher thought patterns. That's someone who no doubt has some toxic behaviors. And last but not least, before I go into the part 2 of this video, is number 9, okay? Someone who is afraid to test the limits of what is their comfort zone. They feel very uncomfortable with uncertainty. They're not willing to take the path less traveled. They're not willing to live in the flow of life. They're not willing to release a certain amount of control that they need over their life because they're very uncomfortable with coming out of their comfort zone. This is one of those weightier toxic traits, because when you're not willing to do that, it means you need to control everything in your environment. I used to be like this. I was very toxic. Oh my gosh. You need to control everything in your environment. You need to control for what's going in, what's going out, what money's coming in, what money's going out. You need to control what everyone else is doing. You have an artificial sense of your own self-importance when you're inflexible like this. You are not willing to flow with life, which means that more than likely your right brain energy has not been activated at the level that it needs to be activated. You're very much in your left brain. You overanalyze things. You over-rationalize things. You overthink everything. You're always in your head, and oftentimes your head is a place of negativity that you are actually trapped inside of. This can contribute or show itself as depression, as anxiety, as not being able to live in the moment and to be in a constant state of worrying over things that you have no control over. It can create a state of restlessness and insomnia and just panic attacks. So being someone who has trouble being out of your comfort zone essentially means that you're someone that has a difficulty giving way to life, and you feel as though life is happening to you. So you have to always be in opposition to it, or you have to always be ready for whatever life is going to bring you. Or because life is happening to you, you have to always, be 2 or 3 steps ahead of life. That's not the way we want to live. As a matter of fact, that's one of the most lower vibrational ways to live, even if you're a business owner. I have brought more affluence and abundance into my life the last few years by just living every day in the moment and manifesting from the present. I do very little planning. I have a vision board in my bedroom. I feed myself positive things, positive food throughout the day. But I do very little planning. I'm not a person that has a 5-year goal. I tossed those out of the window many years ago. I know that I came to this planet with my razak, with my provisions. I know that my soul is going to take me exactly where I need to be. I know what my gifts and talents are. I know I'm on my life purpose. And I know that as long as I'm on my life purpose, I am already abundant. And as long as I believe that I am already abundant, I will continue to be abundant. So being in a place where you can get out of the box and you can stretch your arms, that you can release yourself into the hands of the universe or into the hands of your God self or spirit, whatever it is that you identify with, being in that space will relieve you of so many other toxic habits, because there'll be so many things that you will have to naturally do to actually be in that space. And those things in and of themselves have the unintended consequence of bringing you a lot of peace and tranquility in your life and clearing you of a lot of toxic behaviors or toxicity in your life. So use these as a launching pad. And although I seldom do this, I'm going to put the link. If the video doesn't come up, then I didn't have time to go into my PC and do it from YouTube, but I will put the link to the part 2 video here once it's actually released. Okay, so some of you who like this video and who come to my channel quite a bit, give it a few weeks or a few days before you look for the next one to actually come out, because although the link may be there, you may not be able to access the video. Okay, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the beautiful things that you do for me. I appreciate all the opportunities for growth that you have given me in my life. This channel and the other channels that I have been amazing. If you are interested in joining me on Patreon for a little bit more, going in a little bit more deep into your spiritual journey, click the link. You can find me on patreon.com/Tanisha Ali. I will pull an oracle card for you today, and I will keep it short by pulling just one. If you are interested in my natural hair and skincare products, definitely check out my I Am Melanin Magic website. I have a host of things on there and new products coming out all the time, made with my own healing hands. You have awakening, okay? Know that for sure. That if you are watching this video and you got through this video, then you resonate with my energy, you are by sure. You are definitely on your spiritual journey and you are in a space of awakening. I can tell you that already. You could not resonate with my energy if you were not in a place of seeking truth in your life, of seeking deeper meaning, and already beginning or well entrenched in the process of doing your inner work, okay? You might even be in your dark night of the soul and have found this video. Either way, welcome to the sojourn. I love having you around. Please make sure you stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to probably make the thumbnail look the same, even if I don't do anything but change the background color. The message here is, oh my Lord, wake me from life as a spiritual sheep. I know that's right. May I hear you through my own instincts and common sense. Now, you guys know, y'all hear me talk about the sheep and how the sheep never sees the glory of the sun until its neck has been slit. Why? Because when the neck is slit and it falls down to the ground, its eyes go up and gaze into the consciousness of light, into the sun, into the cosmos. It now sees what it couldn't see before because its primary mode of operandus was 2-dimensional. All right. So that dimension of height, those 4th, 5th, 6th dimensions are out of reach. So know that you are not amongst the sheep, or even if you may feel that you are, you're coming out of that space right now as you begin your awakening and your ascension. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to purchase my Manifesting Your Masterpiece book. Much love, much love, much love. And I will see you again very soon for part 2. But I likely am going to upload a series of other videos in between this one. So be patient, because this one is going in the queue. I'm not sure when it will actually touch down.